With the launch of FM22, we're back for a new series of League Lowdowns. And in this edition, we'll be profiling the Brazilian League in Football Manager. We'll investigate the league structure as well as introducing some of the clubs you might select for your South American adventure. Brazil is of course the home of carnivals, of beaches, of samba and of soccer. As well as home to one of the most exciting destinations in FM. Football in this part of the world has been dominated historically by the Big 12 clubs, representing Belo Horizonte, Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo and Porto Alegre. And as well as examining these 12 sporting giants, we'll be focusing on Red Bull South American franchise, a club beset by tragedy and a lower league challenge. All of this awaits as we dive into the Brazilian League Lowdown. So the launch of FM22 means it's time for some more League Lowdowns. We've got plenty of countries left to visit as well as some old favourites that we might just take another trip to. In this edition, we're off to Brazil and we're going to start by checking out how the league structure works. So before we go through the league structure, let's just explain that I've applied a real name fix to FM22 so that the Brazilian clubs have their rightful names in the game. I'll pop a link in the description below to how you can get the same fix for your game, as well as a rather helpful video by my pal Demand More FM that will explain how to apply it. But you will find Brazil has got 3 playable tiers in FM22. The top is known as Serie A. It's got 20 teams in it and they play each other over a 38-game season. But there is a lot to play for. The top 7 win places into the various stages of the Copa Libertadores. The 6 below them, down to 13th, go into the continent's second competition, the Copa Sudamericana. The bottom 4 are all relegated out of the league. Those 4 bottom clubs drop into Serie B, which has also got 20 clubs in it. The top 4 go up, the bottom 4 go down, and they go down to that 3rd playable tier in FM22. It's got 20 clubs in it. It's split over 2 groups. The bottom 2 in each group get relegated out of the playable leagues in FM. The top 4 in each group go into a second stage where they contest those promotion playoffs. Before these seasons even start, your clubs will also be participating in Brazil's state championships, where clubs are grouped by region and play off against each other. You'll find clubs from Serie A all the way down to the unplayable leagues in FM, each contesting in those state championships. The state championships run from January through to late March, early April. Then the league system kicks in. That takes place from April through to the end of November, the start of December. So if you choose to make Brazil the destination for your FM22 adventure, you will not be short of games. But that's how the league system works. Let's have a look at the top clubs you can manage. And there are a lot of them in Brazil. So where better to start than with 2020's reigning champions Flamengo. The Rio-based club play at the iconic Maracanã Stadium. They have an estimated 33 million supporters worldwide, and they also have legends like Zico as their former players. If we take a little peek into their trophy cabinet, we'll see that last season was one of 7 Serie A titles that they've won. They've also lifted the continent's top prize, the Copa Libertadores, on 2 occasions, and the most recent of those victories in 2019 was quite dramatic. They were losing to Argentina's River Plate until the 89th minute when they equalised and then scored the winner in stoppage time at the end of the game. If we have a look at the facilities that they boast, well, they've got that great iconic stadium with almost 80,000 capacity to it, but they've also got superb training facilities, great youth facilities, good academy coaching, and excellent youth recruitment as well. So if you like the idea of making your FM22 Save a youth-only one, well, Flamengo not only being one of the continent's largest clubs, but also one with the best facilities. But they are not leading the table so far this season. That honour goes to Atletico Mineiro, who are from Belo Horizonte and have a fierce rivalry with Cruzeiro. Now, they are leading the Brazilian Championship in real life, but they've only actually won it once in their entire history. They've been 5 times runners-up, but if they get over the line this season, will be only their second title. FM22 has them listed as only 9th favourites to win the title this campaign. They have also won the Copa Libertadores. They won it in 2013. They needed penalties to beat Olimpia from Paraguay to do it. But if you like the idea of taking charge of one of Brazil's so-called Big 12 that have not won that many honours in their history, well, Mineiro might be an interesting proposition. But there's plenty more teams in that chasing pack. So let's go through some more of Brazil's so-called Big 12 clubs that you could take charge of, starting with the club that have won the title the most times, and that is Palmeiras, based in Sao Paulo, fierce rivals with Corinthians, and they have won the Brazilian top division on 10 different occasions. However, they've only won the Copa Libertadores on one occasion. They are in the final in November for 2021, where it's an all-Brazilian affair against Flamengo, and their only victory in 1999 was also an all-Brazilian clash. They played Santos in the final, scoring the winner deep into injury time in the 97th minute. Maybe Santos is the next club we should check out. The mere mention of Santos conjures up images of arguably the greatest footballer of all time. No, not Robinho nor Neymar, but Pelé, and this is a club with a long history of creating icons, and they've won a fair few trophies along the way as well. 8 top division titles, but 3 Copa Libertadores wins as well. The most recent came in 2011. They beat Uruguay's Peñarol in the final. A young Neymar was on the score sheet that night. And if you like the idea of taking over a club and trying to produce your own academy products, well, Santos are a decent option. They've got excellent training facilities, good youth facilities, good academy coaching, and exceptional youth recruitment as well. Certainly a club where you could produce your own batch of wonder kids, but there are plenty more places to visit in Brazil's Big 12. Next, we'll check in with another Maracanã resident. This is the other half of Rio's Fla-Flu derby. This is Flamengo's big rivals, Fluminense. Now, like their rivals, they've also got multiple Brazilian title wins. They've won it on 4 occasions, 2 of them coming in the previous decade. But unlike Flamengo, they are yet to win a Copa Libertadores title. If you like the idea of taking charge of a club that have still yet to win the continent's biggest prize, Fluminense might be the one for you. Let's head to Porto Alegre next, where we will find Internacional, another club that are having a good season in real life. FM22 has them predicted to finish 7th. They're looking like they're going to do better than that this campaign. This is the club that produced Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson, and they are also 3-time winners of Brazil's Serie A, as well as 2-time winners of the Copa Libertadores, both since the turn of the millennium in 2006 and 2010. They've also got the 2006 FIFA World Club Cup in their trophy cabinet. They are another huge team, but that's the thing about Brazil. There's always another huge team just around the corner. If you favour taking charge of big clubs, well, look no further than Corinthians. They've got an estimated 29 million supporters worldwide, and the Sao Paulo-based club have also got multi-domestic and continental trophies, 7 Serie A title wins, as well as a Copa Libertadores victory in 2012, where they beat Argentina's Boca Juniors in the final. They've also won 2 FIFA Club World Cups. If you like the idea of taking charge of a big club, Corinthians are an option. But we've got 2 more clubs in Serie A that are also part of Brazil's Big 12. The first of those 2 is Sao Paulo, the club that bears the city's name, and another absolute behemoth of Brazilian football. Not 1, not 2, but 3 Copa Libertadores titles. The most recent was in 2005, the same year as they won the FIFA Club World Cup. Add in on top of that 6 Brazilian title victories, and this is another huge club. But Brazil has so many huge clubs. It's why they talk of the Big 12. We've got one more that we can look at that's still playing in Serie A. The 9th of our Big 12 clubs currently playing in Serie A are Porto Alegre-based Gremio. They've got a fierce rivalry with Internacional. They've also got multiple titles. But they're one of those strange clubs that's actually won the continent's top prize more frequently than their own domestic title. Maybe that illustrates what a competitive league this is that you could manage in FM22. They've got those league titles once in the 1980s, once in the 1990s, but 3 Copa Libertadores, the most recently coming in 2017 where they beat Argentina's Lanús in the final to seal their third continental crown. But maybe you like the idea of taking charge of one of the Big 12, but a club that's not currently in the top flight. The depth of Brazilian football means that you can start your adventure in the second tier and still take charge of a club that's a former winner of the Copa Libertadores. We'll start out at Cruzeiro, Ronaldo's former club. They've got a former national team boss in charge that won the Copa America with Brazil in the late 90s. And they've also won Brazil's top title on 4 different occasions. And they've got 2 Copa Libertadores victories as well. But they're currently languishing in Serie B. They need a coach that can take them back to the top tier and back to the top of continental football. Maybe you're the coach that could take on that adventure, but there's other Serie B clubs that might appeal. Another club competing at this level are Rio-based Vasco da Gama, the club founded by Portuguese immigrants and the former team of Edmundo and Brazilian legend Romario, and they are another club in the second tier that have won the Copa Libertadores. They've only done it once in the late 90s, but they've also won 4 Brazilian Serie A titles as well. They're at least one promotion from being able to compete again at that level, but maybe you're the coach to take them there. Rounding out the Big 12 are another Rio-based club, and that is Botafogo, the club of Brazilian legend Garrincha. They've not won the Copa Libertadores, but they do have 2 Brazilian titles to their name. They won one in the 60s, another in the 90s. Nowhere near as many titles as the other members of the Big 12, but maybe they're waiting for you to take over as coach, gain them promotion back to the top division before trying to win them more honours. If you like the idea of taking charge of a club with wealthy backers, well, Bragantino might appeal to you. They don't have much by way of history when it comes to winning major honours. They were runners-up in Serie A in 1991, but that's as close as they've come to winning a title. But in 2020, an Austrian energy drinks company began investing in the club, and maybe the time is right for you to take charge of this team that are now in Serie A and try and guide them to their first silverware. Taking charge of a team backed by a global conglomerate is not your kind of adventure. Maybe taking charge of Chapecoense will. They're currently competing in Serie A, although in real life they're fighting against relegation. But relegation pales into insignificance compared to the events of 2016. Chapecoense were awarded the Copa Sudamericana title for that year, but tragically they never got to play the final when travelling to face Atletico Nacional from Colombia. A plane crash meant that they lost most of their playing squad and their management team as well, and the final was never played. Atletico Nacional insisted that Chapecoense be awarded the title, but maybe you could take charge of this small club and guide them back to happier memories. One of the things that makes Brazil such an attractive destination in FM22 is there's not 1, not 2, but 3 different tiers of fun. In Serie C, you'll find 20 different clubs that you will choose from of all different sizes. One of the interesting options is Manaus, and if you've heard the name, it's because the city from the Amazon region was one of the hosts of the World Cup when Brazil were hosting the competition. Taking a club all the way from the 3rd tier to the top of Brazilian football would be an epic adventure. Maybe that's the kind of adventure you're looking for. So there's the League Lowdown guide to Brazil, a nation with such strength in depth that they have 12 big clubs for you to take charge of, as well as adventures further down the pyramid that might just appeal. We'll see you very soon when we make another country the next location for our next League Lowdown.